Picture this. Somewhere right now, a full-grown adult is standing in their kitchen at 1 a.m, getting a glass of water. The house is quiet, the lights are off, and on the walk back to bed, that adult picks up the pace a little. Just a little. Not running. Definitely not running. Just a brisk, dignified power walk past the dark hallway, like something might grab an ankle if they slow down. That adult has a job, pays bills, owns real furniture, and still does this, maybe once a week, without ever telling anyone. Sound familiar? It should, because a lot of grown adults do some version of this. And here's the strange part. It's not really about the dark. It's about something the human brain has been quietly doing for almost 1,000,000 years, and it never got the memo to stop. Let's start with how common this actually is, because the numbers are bigger than you'd guess. About 3 out of every 4 kids go through a real scared of the dark phase. Everyone expects that part. What people don't expect is that it doesn't just vanish on your 18th birthday. Something close to 1 in 9 adults still deals with a real, measurable fear of the dark. Not a little jumpy, an actual documented thing. So if walking to your car in an empty parking lot at night makes your shoulders tighten up a bit, that's not some personal weakness. That's just most people. Now here's where it gets interesting. There's an idea in psychology called prepared learning. Back in 1971, a researcher named Martin Seligman noticed something odd. People don't get scared of everything equally. Some fears show up almost instantly after just one bad moment. Heights, snakes, spiders, the dark. But other things that are actually far more dangerous barely bother us at all. Take electrical outlets. They cause a lot more harm every year than spiders do, statistically speaking. And yet almost nobody grows up terrified of an outlet. One creepy spider moment as a kid, though, that can follow a person for life. The brain isn't ranking fears by how dangerous something is today. It's ranking them by how dangerous that thing used to be a very long time ago. That gap is basically the whole story here. So why the dark, exactly? This next part is the good stuff. Humans are day creature. Our best tool by far is our eyes. And the moment the sun goes down, that tool basically stops working. No night vision, no cat whiskers, no bat here. Once it's dark, humans are honestly kind of a weak animal. And for most of human history, that mattered a lot because humans weren't running things. Big cats, hyenas, other night hunters. They had every advantage once the sun went down. Better eyes, better ears, better everything. So think about 2 early humans living in the same small group. One of them gets nervous the moment it turns dark, stays close to the fire, jumps at strange sounds. The other one shrugs and wanders off alone into the night because it's probably fine. Which one do you think is more likely to have grandchildren? The nervous one, every time. And somewhere in your family tree, that nervous one is very likely an actual ancestor of yours. Here's a detail that most people never hear, and it flips the whole story a bit. Most mammals throughout history have actually been night animals, the majority of them. A lot of early mammals specifically evolved to be active at night, so they could avoid daytime predators. Back when the daytime belonged to something a little more dinosaur-shaped, night used to be the safe shift for mammals, not the dangerous one. Humans are the weird exception here. At some point, humans gave up the night shift and switched to daytime instead. So maybe the fear of the dark isn't really about the dark being scary. It's more like humans quietly quit a job their own bodies were still expecting them to show up for. Now let's talk about what's actually happening inside a person during that little jolt of nervousness in the dark. A 2012 study out of the University of Toronto looked into this exact feeling. And here's the twist. It's not full panic. It's quieter than that. More like a low background hum of something feels off. The chest tightens slightly. The pupils widen to grab any bit of light they can find. Breathing speeds up just a touch. And the wildest part is all of that happens before a single conscious thought forms. There's a small almond-shaped part of the brain called the amygdala, and it's basically an alarm system. It reacts to the dark before the thinking part of the brain even gets a vote. A person can be standing in their own hallway, in their own house, fully aware nothing is there, and the amygdala fires the alarm anyway. It's not being dramatic, it's just old, really old, and it does not read new memos. Then imagination joins in, and honestly, this is usually the worst part. Take away someone's sight, and the brain doesn't just sit there empty. It starts filling in blanks, and it almost always fills them in with something bad. That exact same closet looks completely normal at 2 in the afternoon and deeply suspicious at 2 in the morning. Nothing about the closet changed. What changed is how much information the brain has. And with less information, the brain guesses the worst case option. Because for a very long time, guessing worst case and being wrong cost nothing. Guessing probably fine and being wrong could cost everything. Only one of those 2 mistakes gets to pass its genes down, which might explain something else too. Nearly every culture that has ever existed, completely separately from each other, invented some version of a monster that lives in the dark. Different continents, different centuries, no contact between any of them, and somehow they all landed on the same basic idea. Something bad comes out after the sun goes down, so stay close to the fire. That's probably not a coincidence. That's an old survival tip, dressed up as a scary story so it would actually stick. So the takeaway is this: nobody is being childish for feeling a small flicker of unease in a dark room. That feeling is a very old, very well-tested alarm system, one that kept an entire family line alive for close to 1 million years, on a planet that genuinely tried to kill people after sunset. It just hasn't caught up with streetlights, deadbolts, and a gas station that's open all night long. The amygdala has no idea what a deadbolt is. As far as it's concerned, dark still means unknown, and unknown still means stay alert. Honestly, given how well that system has worked out so far, maybe it's earned a little patience. If this is the kind of thing that messes with your head a little bit, that's really the whole point of this channel. Every video takes something completely ordinary, something nobody ever really questions, and traces it back to the strange old reason it exists in the first place. If that sounds like your thing, hit subscribe, there's more coming, and drop a comment about the last time the dark actually got you, even for 1 second. Everyone's got a story like that. See you in the next one.